Hello and welcome back to another figure skating recap. Today I will be covering Skate America. Real quick, here are the results in case you need a refresher. Okay, now let's get started. Just a heads up, I will be covering almost all of the competitors here, but will most definitely speak more about some and less about others. Sound good? Okay, great. Starting off with the women's event. I was glad to see Ilia here even if she didn't have the skates she wanted. I think this is a great start for someone who's just left a less than favorable coaching situation. I was a fan of both of Livia's programs. She's not the cleanest nor most well-rounded skater, but she always goes for it in terms of program choices. I am so beyond happy for Ms. Minchai Kim. I know a lot of people newer to her skating may be a bit confused by me saying that, or maybe if you checked her personal best you're confused as well. But Minchai hasn't competed at a big senior international competition ever, and her last competition with even close to a comparable amount of pressure was as a junior in 2021. She was also a last-minute entry, because of withdrawals. Following the end of her junior career, she struggled quite a bit. The senior and junior field in South Korea had become very competitive with only few spots to give. She's worked through a lot mentally, and this is definitely the best she's looked since earlier times. I hope she can be given more internationals in the future, because you can tell a lot of her hurdles are to do with nerves and confidence. That being said, I loved both programs and am so proud of her. Can't wait to see her at Cup of China. I think I speak for everyone when I say that our hearts dropped when Yuna did the turn out of her triple lutz. Now of course she's never been the most consistent skater in terms of tech, but she's arguably consistently delivering some of the most consistently impressive programs in terms of skating skills and interpretation. Her short program was gorgeous, watching it clean in practice was such a blessing, and I hope she can make it happen at NHK. Her free skate was gorgeous as well. I'm sorry, I know I sound so biased, but Yuna really is my kind of skater. Her layout is unique compared to a lot of the competitors, which naturally makes her stand out. I can't wait for her to compete internationally again and again, so that hopefully eventually she'll get enough reputation that the judges will give her the PCS she deserves. After all of the unknown following Brady's injury, I wasn't sure what we'd be faced with here. That being said, she did well for her first competition back. I think her and Benoit even said something was wrong with her free skate music, which could definitely have thrown her off. That being said, her score in the short was definitely generous. I think her and Benoit's time working together is long over, and that she could definitely find other choreographers willing to work with her. His choreo is repetitive and lacks emotional depth to programs. It's a shame. Brady could have great performance abilities, but it would be difficult to know from his choreography. My heart aches for Elyce. Her skates at Nebelhorn set the bar high, and the pressure was immense, especially at a home Grand Prix. In a post-skate interview she cited nerves as the reason for her performance as well. That's not to mention the pressure she likely feels competing directly against Isabeau again, who she'd just beaten at Nebelhorn. The race for the Olympic team spots is on, and every medal matters from now till the decision is announced. I think Elyce can definitely come back from this. However, her next Grand Prix is unfortunately Skate Canada, which is merely a few training days away. Regardless, I hope that it'll all come together. Okay, so here we saw Nina go pretty clean, barring a few rotation issues. I haven't decided how I feel about her programs yet, but they're reading very Benoit to me. I saw a post about this on Twitter that I found myself resonating with. Now of course, I couldn't find this tweet when I went back to put it here. But, basically it was making the point that Benoit has a pattern. When he works with skaters for a longer period of time, his work with Nina is slowly becoming reminiscent of his work with Brady. I worry about her becoming trapped in a Benoit loop and not continuing to push herself artistically. I hope for her Olympic program she goes elsewhere for programs, I'm not sure where, but somewhere. Now, there's something morally dubious about having a 17-year-old skater who knows nothing about the film or book skate to Handmaid's Tale. That being said, A Handmaid's Tale reaching Texas ice was iconic to me specifically. Now for Isabeau. I still love her short program, it is so well suited for her. It's a shame things went kind of wry in the free. I'm gonna admit that I was quite shocked they didn't put her in first purely based on it being a home Grand Prix. But, I think this is good for her. If she'd won here I think it would have reflected quite poorly on US figure skating. That being said, she still got bronze, so it's not like she failed or anything. But, I hope she can have a better competition at her next assignment. Also, and I by no means blame Isabeau for this because it boils down to ISU and the judges. But I do think that it's quite interesting that other skaters here got more punished for their poor takeoff than her, especially when hers was notably worse. In second place we had the resilient Rinka Watanabe. I'm so happy for her, and I'm so happy she did not go for a triple axel here. When she's not focused on it, you can really see her becoming more consistent. Both of her programs this season are okay. I can definitely see the free growing on me more throughout the season. I'm excited to see how she does at Cup of China. Both times she competed there last season she did quite well. She has quite a few big names to contend with there, but I hope she uses her best judgment in deciding whether or not to go for the triple axel. Did someone say Skate America gold medalist? I have no words but congratulations for my girl Wakaba. I feel like I've watched Wakaba my whole life at this point. Well, it has been a decade since her first junior Grand Prix. This was really a crowning moment. After so many robberies around her scoring, I'm just so happy for her. Both of her programs were very intense, the free being especially chilling. The way the free skate builds is especially nice. I'm glad she's not focusing on her triple axel this season. And I'm glad that the time she finally wins a senior Grand Prix it's without one as well. I hope that helps her realize that she doesn't need it. Not when she skates the way she does. I think figure skating as a whole needed this win. I wish her the best of luck in France. Also, side note, her quick thinking is what got her the gold. Had she not added a double toe on her triple lutz sequence, she may not have won. This is why I'm always saying it's important to teach active thinking during programs. Also, she brought back her Primavera Gala here, we love to see it. Now moving on to men. Starting with Francois Pitot, I felt like there was a lot of potential. He had a nice flip during the short that stuck with me. But beyond that I don't much have to say for now. There's something really special about this Lucas. He may not be all there technically, but in terms of performance he's really won me over. That Ina Bauer in the short was just gorgeous. Him and Isabeau during the gala were cute too. Okay, now for Wesley. Gosh, I just wish things could work out in both programs so much. Like most Canadian men, Wesley seems to struggle a lot with his technical consistency. That being said, his free skate here was really a comeback moment in my eyes. His level of tech was never going to be enough to beat someone with a base value like Ilia's, but every almost clean skate is a start. Donovan's always a fun skater to watch. It's crazy to think about how an Olympic moment can entirely change someone's career. I was taken aback by Maxim's improvements. In his short you can really tell he's trying to be more creative and into his programs. His jump landings are noticeably less harsh, that being said they're still pretty harsh. His free was pretty okay. I find that a lot of male skaters use OSTs as a way to skate along and let the movie plot carry the message of the program. But, I did see him getting into it during the step sequence, it was nice to see. I have really fallen in love with Nozomu skating these past few seasons. Keeping this short was smart, although it was unfortunate he got Skate America again, so any reoccurring crowd members saw it a second time. But, it's a good program, so who can complain? It's a shame things didn't work out in the free, but I have no doubt he'll use this as an experience to only get better. Unfortunately, I have to dock some points from Koshiro for skating to Shawn Mendes. That being said, his Danse Macabre free was great. His costume was really nice to see in comparison to some of the other men's more basic costumes. Oh my lovely deniss. So, I'm still not really feeling the short program yet. It feels a bit more sharp than his previous ones, almost like he's stopping his natural flow through the movements. Now for his free. I love the choreography, the way he incorporates ballet into the step sequence, and his death at the end with the choreo sequence. That being said, I'm still concerned about how slow he moves during his step sequence. I think the judges will take liberty with marking it down the second they need someone over him. I mean, it did get a level 3 here already. He needs to ditch that quad salchow too, he'd be better off with a triple at this point. Also, I'm still opposed to using La Bayadere in the year 2024 though. I'll admit I was shocked to see Kevin skate relatively clean here. He's definitely got a mental game going on, and regardless of his success here I'm not sure he should be competing right now. I'll also admit that I was a bit shocked at just how high his placement and score were. Personally, I would have had him behind Cow and possibly behind Deniss as well. He went clean, but his GOEs in the free were extremely generous. Cow really showed up here. Even if he didn't win, and even though they put Kevin above him, he proved something here. He's really grown a lot since last season, and I really like his programs this season. Last season they felt a bit too much like jumping drills. He's also injured though, with the same injury he sustained 2 years ago at 4 continents. It's a shame, but I'm not shocked that it hasn't healed. He's been throwing down quads non-stop in spite of it. I hope that he rests as much as he can. But his next Grand Prix, a home Grand Prix at that, starts November 8th, so there's not a lot of time. I hope things work out for him because he's really grown a lot artistically over the summer. I personally would have had higher here overall and would have had him in first after the short. Now for our gold medalist we have the formidable Ilia Malinin. I'll be the first to admit I've never been a big fan of his skating, particularly because of his lack of commitment to performance and skating skills. That being said, I was impressed. His skating skills are still not there, sometimes bordering junior level. But his performances and acting has improved quite a bit. I didn't vibe with the short at all, and I hope his Olympic programs are nothing like that. On the contrary, during the free, for the first time ever, I enjoyed an ilia program. I don't know if it's because I needed him to avenge Cow's robbery, but I was on the edge of my seat. The music may be a bit cringe, but he is an American teenager and this reads about fair for him. Once again, the skating skills are not there, he should not be getting near 9s in skating skills. But his commitment to performance is getting better. And the costume for this program was great, the blood details were a nice touch. His backflip was unnecessary, but I did appreciate it looking a little more controlled and correct than others like Adams. Still, it needs to go. Now let's speedrun the top 6 in ice dance. Starting with Mrezkova Mrazek, they had 2 pretty solid skates. It seems like their biggest issue is still cleanness. Despite this, I think they did okay. I don't like these programs as much as their ones from last year, but it could be worse considering what some of their competitors are doing, haha. I do need them to get rid of that lift that on the board. I loved Neset and Markolev's rhythm dance to ABBA. Leah's hair really pulled it together for me. Overall, I feel like I kind of feel the same as most figure skating fans when it comes to Diana and Gleb. I do think Lady Marmalade was a pretty good choice for them. I don't know what was going on in the free though. This team is just very meh to me. They've definitely made some progress since they first paired up, but are still a very mid-level team. So I know there's been a bit of controversy online about their programs since they skated at Nebelhorn. But I feel like Olivia and Tim did okay here. I still don't really click with either program much though. I think that the Dune program is okay. I feel like some of the movement and music choices within the program were a bit questionable. It had some cool moments and I do think it's their best program together. I wasn't a big fan of their rhythm dance personally. In a surprise second place we have Bach. So for their programs, I felt a bit underwhelmed. In all honesty, I felt underwhelmed by them since their post-Beijing programs. Their skating has become very labored and slow. I don't know what to say or do about them, but this was not world medal worthy. And in a shocking and devastating turn for my fantasy team, we have Lila Fear and Lewis Gibson in first place. I think everyone was shocked to some extent. But in retrospect, it seems like I am and the judging over the past year have been preparing for this moment. I am clearly would like to go into the Olympic season knowing who will win. Ideally for them it seems to be Bach, but they'll settle for Fear and Gibson. I personally was quite disappointed with their programs this year. It seems like every year since Beijing they become more muted and toned down. I just don't see their wow factor anymore and find them paling in comparison to more exciting teams like Limquan. Their skating is also just concerning. I'm worried about what the ice dance is becoming in recent years. And that's it. I know, for someone who doesn't like ice dance I have a lot of harsh opinions. Now I don't have a lot to say about pairs, but we'll speedrun a few of my miscellaneous comments. Okay, starting with Efimova and Mitrofanov, I just wanted to say that I loved the short program. I'm not super familiar with this pairing, but I am glad I included them on my fantasy list, because I paid extra attention to them because of it. Now for the free, my jaw dropped. I was not expecting to like this pairing so much. There's something so reminiscent of 90s and 2000s pairs in them. Now for Vapienlaw and Digby. I love the short program costumes. A moment for them. I don't have much to say on Pavlova and Svyachenko, but their free to Pirates of the Caribbean was interesting. As for Ellie and Danny, I'm glad things are working out for them so far. It was actually really refreshing to see them happy after the short program. The free was nice as well. You could really feel their nerves. I'm glad it worked out and hopefully this will give them a boost in security. Now for our first place winners, Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kahara. I am obsessed with the short program. I'm really seeing a new focus and intensity with them this season. Same for the free. I really felt them wanting to win, wanting to go clean. Their competitive spirit is definitely back. And it seems like they're really prepping for the Olympics. Just based on the different programs we've seen in the top pairs teams, I would be disappointed to see a clean program of these being beat by any other team. Okay, and we've reached the end of this recap. This is my first time doing a video on such a large competition, so please forgive me if it wasn't as good as it could be. That being said, I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you next week for Skate Canada. GOODBYE